done to me as a child that I absolutely remember. Well, I'll just say this. The reason why everything began for me from the time I was 3 years old. I have an absolute memory that I've been able to get confirmed from family where I was taken to a facility by a certain relative. I will mention that when I do my full interview, who I do not have contact with, was not allowed to have contact with when I was 3 years old. And I was thrown into a pool, and they induced me to drown. I remember laying then on a slab next to this pool, throwing up and coughing up water, and then seeing these men around me and saying, "We have one." I remember hearing that. This is not a dream. This is not fantasy. This is absolute. Sometimes I still wake up with having night terrors and flashbacks about this. I've always been able to hold my breath for a long time without having to do the hyperventilating. I've always had a very interesting relationship with water. I have several people that you know that can absolutely, with complete honesty, tell you of accounts that they've witnessed of things that have happened to me with water. I have been told not to do any kind of soaking in water because of something which I will reveal in the next interview, which could happen.
Okay. So let me, rather than go down that road, since this interview is about another matter,
yes.
Let's go back to the Golfo de Adén and talk about the false flag subject in terms of what specifically, if anything, has been left out of this interview so far, because I think we could wrap this up as it is.
Yes.
I can't think of any particular areas that we might not have covered, but then maybe something might occur to you. So I want to make sure that we've covered this topic, that you've gotten out the word about what you think is coming in regard to the buildup of the military there. Any other random thoughts that or information, pieces of information that you might have that would be pertinent for the public to be aware of here?
Don't travel to the Middle East this year. Do not travel there. Do not go there because they do not care about collateral damage. They proved that with 9/11. They proved that with the Oklahoma bombing. They proved that on December 25th. They proved that at Fort Hood. They do not care. You are an expendable piece of property to the global elite, to MKULTRA, to governments all around the world. I have just a really deep, sinking, dark feeling that there's going to be a lot of death. I've been seeing death. I've been having visions of some really horrible scenarios that could definitely are possible, not just in the Middle East, specifically Yemen, but in country. Do your research. Everything that I have said in this interview and that Carrie has said, please, what I'm telling you is absolute, and I've also specified what was theory, what was my intuition, and I've even labeled some sources where I gathered information. Everybody that sees this interview, I encourage you to do the same. Don't just take my word for it, because if you just take my word for it, you're doing the same as watching TV or watching the movies and taking their word for it. You need to do the research on your own, because that will allow you to open your mind and really give you self-empowerment. The greatest gift humanity was ever given was free will, and as long as you allow your free will to keep working, you will open up to what's occurring. False flags are going to be happening more. Based on my intuition and my intelligence that I have gathered, something else big is going to happen in the United States, and it's all being done to invoke this war on terror in Yemen for movement with the Seagate. Is it going to be to help escort these beings from off planet, or are these, friendly beings are trying to do something, and we're already in a galactic war that's happening now. Believe it or not, it's happening. But with that war, there are many different battles occurring, and we are on the brink of a new battle. This is definitely, I have no doubt about that. This is going to be another battle of the galactic war, and what people need to realize is that this planet is a war prize. It always has been. There's always been conflict for this planet, and there are many reasons which I could get into, but God, that would go on and on and on. Is there any other information that I can think of that people need to know about? Not at this time. Just know, specifically, you will find that the major countries that have warships, and I want to emphasize, these are warships, everybody, the United Kingdom, Russia, China, Japan, Germany, NATO, the UN, and the now mercenary group Z, which is more commonly known as Blackwater. There are scientific research corporations there right now under multinational contract doing heavy research on alien human DNA. Ask yourself why. Ask yourself, why was there a doctor that worked for this company that unexplainably said, the Earth, the people of the world have to be notified. It's quoted in an article that I found, and attempted suicide because she knew something, she was part of something, she had her own self-awakening, and the information she has was so great, so overwhelming, that she tried to kill herself. But did she really try to kill herself, or was this a mind-controlled, attempt to kill herself? Three of the people that I was in contact with, that I was working with, when I myself was helping orchestrate false flag events in 2008 and in the beginning of 2009, unexpectedly disappeared when they themselves became more self-aware and realized what they were doing was wrong. I have emails from certain personnel that contacted me and said that they were under house arrest in 29 Palms. Right after this, I need to say this because this shows the level of seriousness that this is at. The person that I was in contact with, Captain Scott Seidner, I will say his name because he has disappeared. The place that he lived at, which was not too far from where I was living, I went to where he was living because I lost communication. He'd given me a document that actually talks about the preparation, a document that was drafted in, I believe, in 2000 for the agenda going all the way up to 2015. A document that was never supposed to leave the hands of certain personnel. I have 22 pages of that document that I have shared with you, Carrie. I'm getting off track. This person, Scott Seidner, Captain Scott Seidner, who'd given me this information, started realizing things were wrong, up and disappeared. Where he lived, I went and talked to the manager. They would not tell me, we had no Scott Seidner living here. His phone became disconnected. The people I was in contact with were disappearing left and right. I myself became under heavy surveillance, even had an attempt on my life. Yes, that did happen last year, where on one occasion where I first thought it was an accident until I got more information that no, it was not necessarily an attempt on my life, but it was what they do a lot, which they're doing with a lot of people I'm in contact with. It was a scare tactic. They're trying to shut me up. I just got absolute confirmation, and I'd like to emphasize on that absolute confirmation because that's what I have to have before I will really say indefinite. The conference that unfortunately is having so many complications, the MKULTRA Mind Control Conference. I received an anonymous tip, and then through contacts of mine saying that there was going to be an attempt on me at the conference because they know that I'm getting ready to whistleblow a project that is the absolute most secret, kept undercover project in the world, and that is Project Seagate.
Okay, so thank you very much, Aaron McCollum. And I assume that you want this video to go out as is.
Yes.
In other words, we can talk about making it only audio. We can talk about possibly putting it into just a transcript, a written transcript, if you at a later date decide to do so. But at this moment, is it your feeling that you want this to go on the internet as is?